Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tech and Tea with Joshua Vergara. On this episode, I'm joined by the girlfriend once again, Isa Rodriguez, who is actually on her own now in terms of YouTube and tech content on a channel called Isa Does Tech. By the time we are recording this episode, Isa actually got the vanity URL, so it's a lot easier for you to find her on YouTube at youtube.com/Isa Does Tech. ISA Does Tech. All right, so Isa is here actually because she was able to go to a particular launch for a phone that she was really excited about, and I wanted us to talk about that phone in this episode. We do get into our little discussions before the main topic, at which point she does talk about the Xiaomi Mi CC, or the Xiaomi Mi CC9 Meitu. She explains it a lot better than I will because actually the naming convention is a little bit tough and there's a lot of C sounds in all of this. But in any case, this is the resurrection in a way of the Meitu brand under the umbrella of Xiaomi, which is a brand that a lot of us all know and love. If you're watching the video version of the podcast, thank you so much for sticking around on my channel and watching it here, or even just listening to it in the background, because I know a lot of people do that with podcasts on YouTube. I'm doing my best to bring the video version to my YouTube channel, so get into the comment sections down below. Let me know if there are any topics that you want to hear about, any guests that you want to have on, and I'll do my best to have them on in future episodes. For the rest of you who might be listening to the podcast in whatever podcasting app you choose, make sure you give us some 5-star reviews on iTunes or any of the other services. Leave some comments as well and let everybody know that they should be listening to Tech and Tea with Joshua Vergara as well. But with all of that said, why don't you go ahead and maybe grab a cup of tea or whatever you might be drinking, sit back, and let's have a chat. Yeah. And then I actually got that set up. I found an old light that it's basically a ring light, but it's filled in. It's not a donut. It's like a full circle.
Oh,
And,
that's cool.
It's a diffused light, and you can see it's between the two cameras. So it's like just perfectly positioned so that I can have it lighting the overhead, but also lighting me. I mean, that's what this camera would be for. But yeah, I was actually...
I have one ring light.
The ring light would be good for that kind of setup too, actually.
But you know the story, right? Like, I mean, ring lights are always something that's appealed to women because they give you that great light when you take selfies and like shoot makeup videos. And that, yeah, precisely because it lights up your face, but also it gives you that beautiful ring in your eyes. And then like randomly, so I've always wanted one, and then randomly like Rodney messaged me and said like, this light is on sale. It was like $100 for the whole setup with batteries and stuff. And I was just like, I get it. Without even understanding or realizing how it works. But it's become like very useful to me.
Yeah. I just realized also, okay, I'm going to cheat this a little bit. This is the Tech and Tea podcast. What are you drinking?
It's coffee.
Okay.
So it's actually cold brew. My mom got these organic beans from Turkey from a friend, and I've been using it for cold brew because it's easy because they're in pouches. But I think I have like 3 pouches more, and then I start drinking the Barako coffee that your dad gave. I'm excited to do that because this is a little bland.
Okay. But you have some of the Barako coffee. Okay.
So I asked your dad. I was like, Tito, can you get me some of the coffee? Because he says he gets so much every time he travels, right? And sometimes it's so hard to find, like, you know me, I'm lazy to go out. Like literally, I have ran out of moisturizer for the last 2 days, but I haven't gotten around to getting it because getting it would mean going out of my house, and I've become antisocial. I don't know. So, but the worst thing to run out of is coffee.
Yeah,
And
I remember there was a time when you had no
God.
coffee and you didn't want to have the instant coffee. I remember that.
And I was just grumpy and crappy, and it made me not want to leave the house more, but like getting sounds very spoiled, but it's an actual problem. So anyway, it's also because I'm not the best judge for coffee. And I randomly buy coffee anywhere when I do, and sometimes I get like the wrong size or type, or it's watered down, or it's not good. And I figured like just asking your dad if he was gonna get, just asking him to get some would be a surefire way to have like good coffee for a while. And he did, and I was just like, that was awesome. That was
You know,
awesome.
we have so much of that stuff. Like Barako, for any of our listeners and viewers now, since the podcast is a YouTube thing.
Yay!
The Barako is the coffee of the province that my parents come from.
Yes.
So it's a very strong coffee,
Which
and
I like.
yes,
It's
it's a
very
good
good.
thing. It's strong both in caffeine content and also in taste.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good thing. I will say this though, because my dad has gone back to the Philippines a number of times over the last couple of years, we have such a stockpile of this coffee that it's literally the only coffee I've had unless I've traveled somewhere and bought it at a cafe. Which is the reason why I actually said this morning to my brother. Once I'm done with my current vat of coffee that I make every single morning, I'm gonna go to like a local. I'm gonna get back to my LA and I'm gonna buy some beans from a place like a Blue Bottle or something like that, or an Intelligentsia. I don't know, but yeah, you just need something a little bit different. There's literally nothing wrong with the Barako, but there's just something in me that's like I want to have something different.
On the other hand, I'm just like, I'm trying not to go to Starbucks as much. I mean, this has been happening to me since like, I mean, I think last year probably, but I realized I was spending tons of money for like iced lattes or cold brews or brewed coffees. And like, it's also the plastic. And
Oh
it's not
yeah,
like I'm conscientious enough to bring my tumbler every time because I buy it. I buy it because it's there, it's convenient, but then I realize packing my coffee in the morning takes no time, and I can brew coffee anyhow.
true. And
So it's
you
just
we've said this a couple of times on the podcast that I've kind of spoiled you when it comes to like coffee and whatnot, and tea for
that's
that matter.
true.
But coffee is like your first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
so obviously.
Yeah.
Now that's a coffee thing. I do want to make sure I mention I did have some matcha in here earlier, so there is some
Of
tea
course.
representation here. So when we were in Japan, we did talk about this on a previous podcast. We did do a tea ceremony where we learned how to make actual matcha,
Yes.
and it was incredible. However, now that I'm back home, what's funny is that I'm making matcha in all of the easier ways. Like I have yet to
What?
recreate the
But
actual ceremony.
we
I have the
got you
whisk.
the whisk thing.
Yeah,
The
we
I
did.
probably the most intricate whisk you could ever imagine.
The little bamboo, the ceremonial whisk.
Yeah.
It's really nice, and it's just that I don't have a bowl to actually like sift and do all of the
We
mixing
should
with.
get you another one.
We should, but you know me, I want to get one that's like meaningful, you know. But with
Yeah.
that in
Fly to the
mind,
Japan and get one.
yeah, exactly. We should just go back. That's already. I mean, my family's already been talking about when we're going to go next. But anyway, the the thing is that I've been experimenting with other ways of making matcha, and the one that I've settled on because it's so hot. Now I know it's a lot hotter where you are. Like it's always a funny thing where I talk about it's hot in LA, but when it's warm in LA, when it's warm here, obviously you want to move from like hot teas to cold teas. And what I've actually done is I've taken the matcha tea that I usually buy is actually off Amazon. It's called Kengo tea, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
really good matcha powder. I've had you have some, babe, of it. But what I actually do now is I get a shaker, like the kind you use for cocktails, and you put some ice in there, you put some of the matcha powder in there, then you put some of the water, then you just shake it like a cocktail.
So
And the
I
ice actually breaks up the powder perfectly.
so
So,
I have a thought. Can you put matcha and protein powder?
yes, you absolutely can, and I have done it. It gives it a bit of a caffeine thing, so you can actually get a bit of a boost from it too.
Wait, I'm gonna do that later. I think we have matcha from. So the thing is, my family is not that fond of matcha.
That's a shame.
My brother has been drinking coffee. He drinks coffee to stay up. He's in law school. But it's also he's been drinking coffee because he's been on this very specific diet, and coffee speeds up your metabolism too. He literally wastes all his food, like
I'm
everything
kind
he
of
eats.
I kind of started doing that when I got
Yeah.
back. I mean,
He
just in terms of because we overate the
Yeah.
entire trip.
No, but it's the same thing for him. Like in my family, he's always been the most precise when it comes to working out and doing whatever. So now that he's on vacation and he can afford, because I still believe, no matter what you say, that to a certain extent, being fit and healthy is a luxury. And it was a luxury he couldn't afford, not like money wise, but time wise when law school is ongoing. So now that he has all the leeway to do that, he's been going ham. Like he's been weighing himself every day. He's been counting every single calorie. He's literally like, you see him with a pile of food and you know it's not there because it tastes good, but because it has like utilitarian value to what he wants to achieve.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like it's the whole idea I used to have, or I still have. I shouldn't say used to. It's just I haven't done a whole lot of type 2 foodie stuff lately. It's just the whole idea behind type 2 foodie is we enjoy food, but at the same time, food is a means to our goals.
Yeah, but I honestly feel like the enjoyment part is lacking in his department.
Hold on, say that one more time. Yeah, you cut out for a bit.
I honestly feel like the enjoyment part is lacking in his department.
When you have those very particular goals, like okay, here's an
Yeah.
example. Chris Pratt,
Mm-hmm.
when he got fit for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, someone asked him, and you know how the media is, like they were talking to him and they're like, so how did you get fit for this role? This is the sexiest you've ever been, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, the usual stuff. You have to make sure that you're eating well and working out. And then the person who was interviewing him was like, but what did you really do? Like, what is the whole thing? And Chris Pratt looked at that interviewer and was just like, what do you want me to say? Like, there's some sort of 90-day program or some 30-day program or something that I ate that made me get this way? No,
No.
it took two, like, honestly, the answer is simple, but it's not the answer you want to hear. It took 2 years. It took chicken breast and salad every single day. It took blah, 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 blah. Like, there's work involved, and that's
Yeah,
what people don't want to hear. That's not a soundbite.
it's pretty hard. I I've been trying to get back to eating better, but eating like I can't do what my brother does. But my brother, we're very different. Like he literally jumps all in when he does something. On the other hand, it takes me a while to actually mold myself into a consistent thing. So my
Yeah,
progress is
you're
usually
the baby
slower
steps
over
person.
longer spans of time. Yeah, but it's also not baby steps person. It's more of like I take a step, I take it, and then I fall down. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's like consistently trying to get back there because every time I try, I get further. So my brother, on the other hand, just goes all or nothing. It's like, just do it. And I think it's also because he's trying to fast track his gains because he also knows that once school starts, like
It's
that's
gonna go
done.
away.
It's
Yeah.
gonna go away.
That is the thing,
Yeah.
though. Once you achieve those goals, it does tend to be a lot easier to maintain them because you've
Mm.
already like done all of this stuff. Like you've already gotten the habits down. You've already
Yeah.
taught yourself how to do those things, so it's not
Yeah.
hard to continue doing it. Meanwhile, when you're just starting out and you're just trying to get those habits down, it's a lot tougher in the beginning.
And it's also like the change from, so last month we've been traveling. And no
Hmm.
matter what you say, even if we hadn't gone to the gym, which we did plan, but there really isn't any time. And then when there was time, I didn't have shoes and no, and I wasn't allowed in the gym. So there
Yeah,
was that.
that's
But
annoying.
yeah, but even then though, like we've been moving around. Travel always adds like what do you call it? Like even if you feel like you're not exercising, you're still moving.
You hit all the steps.
You hit all the steps. So compared from the last month to the last 2 weeks for me, probably from when I got back from Hong Kong, like my steps have drastically like I don't I don't move. I I have been going to the gym, but it's different when you have that movement. Like it's literally a
Yeah.
sedentary lifestyle for me.
It's
So
more,
it's
yeah, like working out is more of a focused activity rather than something you're doing on a constant
yeah,
basis. Like when you're walking
yeah,
around everywhere or you're running, in some cases, literally running around everywhere, which is what we did sometimes.
yeah.
You mentioned Hong Kong, so that's actually a good segue into the main thing we wanted to talk about on this episode. Okay, so
Oh, can
go
I
ahead and
just
explain to
say,
everybody why
like,
you went to Hong Kong.
um, first of all, I want to say that it's just so funny coming from a tropical country. Um, and I'm sure some people can identify with this. When I travel, I sort of tend to think, oh my gosh, it's going to be colder. It's going to be colder. So what do I pack? And I've had this problem because I've been like, how do I even wear cold clothes? I don't even have jackets or anything. How? Like the jackets I own don't aren't even things that go with my clothes because I've never imagined an outfit with jackets. Anyway, my point is I am like after flying to Japan or whatever, which isn't even that cold, but it was colder. I get to Hong Kong and it's humid as fuck. And I have my hair done and I walk around and it's humid and it's rainy because surprise, surprise, there was a typhoon that came from the Philippines that was coming to Hong Kong. And I was just like, I completely forgot that it was not gonna be cool or crisp or whatever. And also, like I don't walk around in Manila as much because it's so hot and humid. So I did in Hong Kong. And all it took me was a few minutes and my hair was ruined and I was sweaty and I was
You never do
smelly.
research
And
about where you're going. Like all the details
I
about
knew
your
this
trip.
subconsciously.
Well, all the details about every
I
trip you go on are always like either something you figure out the night before or the moment you land.
I knew this subconsciously. I just wasn't really thinking about it. It wasn't something in my consciousness,
She thought in a winter coat.
Okay, but the thing is it was also because this trip was last minute.
Yeah.
So what happened was we were in Japan for Oppo, which was a fun trip. Um, but while we were there, we got the invites to the Mi CC9 launch in China. And I'm also sure that a lot of people with my passport would and could feel my hurt and my pain, but I was not able to get back to Manila in time to get my visa to go to China. So I missed the event in China, but instead I just flew to Hong Kong and met up with our friend Ayano, who came from the event so that I could get my phone. What's so special about this this Xiaomi launch, was that was it last year? Last year, Xiaomi and a very beloved brand to me merged, and that would be Meitu. Actually, Meitu is Chinese for I think beautiful picture or something like that.
Something like that.
Which is a fun fact, yeah.
So
Which
I-
is, I mean,
So
yeah.
I feel
Meitu
like we
is-
should do some explanation as to what exactly Meitu is before the acquisition, that is, because
Yeah.
you and I
Yeah.
did videos on Meitu. I even did one when
Yes.
you and I were in Hong Kong.
Yes,
last
yes.
year.
Oh my gosh, that was fun. So Meitu, if you're from the US or Europe or actually any part of the world, you know Meitu from these beauty apps. If you know Facetune, one of the other biggest beauty apps, selfie editing apps would be Meitu. Like they are legit. They are big. Like it's one of the top selling, not top selling because they don't even sell it. It's one of the top rated beauty apps. So they have Meitu in LA. I think there's an office in LA, but of course it's more of the apps.
Well,
But
we're all
more
about
than
that. We're all about that
Yeah.
Photoshop, and I think the
Yeah.
word Facetune is thrown around a lot when people are making fun of Instagram models, anyway. So yeah, there's some influence.
Yeah, but that's another conversation for another time because I was
Of
asked
course.
by a PR friend about like how editing and beauty filters fare in other countries. And I was trying to make a point that, they do it, people just don't admit it because, like, why is Facetune a thing?
Hmm.
So anyway, that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, in Asia, in China especially, the practice of the beauty mode is more accepted. Even in Japan, if you've noticed, we took photos at a photo booth and it's a cultural thing. But you could see our faces had like makeup and super exaggerated big eyes. And it's not like they're like, no, this is how we look like. They just find it cuter. It's like, you know how they have anime? So it's basically a caricature version of you.
Yeah, it's not about, well, okay. There's, like we said, it's a discussion for another time, but there are people who use the applications to literally hide things or to change the way you fundamentally look. But Porikura, which is the photo booth you were talking about, it's not really about that. It's just about having fun.
You're making
with
it
you
cutesy.
Yeah, you're making it cutesy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there is the whole conversation that those same applications
Yeah.
are used to actually like literally beautify you. There are a couple of phones. Which phone was it that literally slimmed you down? Like it actually made your body slimmer.
There are so
Forget
many.
which one that
Well,
was.
I'm sure in Asia, there that's not prevalent, but here most. So it's on the Honor phones. It's on some Vivo
That's right.
phones. I think it's on the Meitu phone. There are so many devices here which do that. And I remember you made a video. I forget which phone it was, but it was even giving you your age and your selfie score.
Oh, that. Well,
And that's
yeah,
a
actually,
feature.
that's relevant because that's Xiaomi also.
Yeah, but that's a feature that's prevalent in the China market, that actually these international PRs are very conscious of, because they also realize that bringing it out into a different market, it would be misinterpreted.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway,
But
Meitu
yeah,
in particular.
actually, that's a great podcast topic that we should get at some point. Like, I legitly want to talk about it. I'm dying to talk about it, but that's not the point now. Meitu in particular creates these beauty apps, but aside from software, Meitu creates hardware. Very, very good hardware. Very, very expensive hardware. Very, very niche hardware. So they come up with these selfie I can't speak. Selfie phones. And basically, before all the dual camera setup phones happened, they already had like 2 cameras up front, 2 cameras in the back, like legit gold
Lighting.
rivets, lighting on the phone itself. They have gold riveted phones. They have like leather phones. And these phones are not cheap. They are expensive phones. And as our friend Ayano had explained, these phones are actually aspirational to a lot of girls in China, but not everyone can afford it. So it's basically the influencer types who use these phones for the perfect selfies. And yeah, the thing was, they were really good. I reviewed the V6, and the camera, specifically the front facing camera on that thing, that was like,
I also remember there being, wasn't there like a cinematic mode that was pretty cool?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love that mode. I think that was my favorite from all the Meitu functions. But so what happened was, so Meitu has been around for a few years, but they've only really sold to China, and they're only really big in that. Remember, China is the same market where cameras specifically catering to selfies are sold and get sold out. Anyway, what happened was Xiaomi and Meitu merged. Basically, they were saying that Xiaomi was gonna be like in charge of marketing and PR, but Meitu will still be in charge of like software, hardware, whatever. Something like that. Like the division was something like that. So when they launched the CC9, they also said that the very first Xiaomi Meitu phone would be launched. Of course, we were excited because it was rumored to have that flip thing too, which, by the way, didn't happen. It didn't happen, but so yeah, we ended up with this phone.
There you go. And it still has the branding, the Meitu logo right there.
It does, which is, and wait, where was it there?
Yeah.
And it was the Meitu CEO who went on stage to talk about their product. Ayano's met this guy and she was super excited. She was just like, Ayano, if little background, our friend Ayano has covered Meitu for a while. She was actually the person who introduced me to Meitu, but also like this is very special to her because Meitu is the phone that got her into tech reporting.
Ah, okay.
Like this
That
was
makes
how
sense.
it started for her. She was so excited with these phones that she ended up getting into tech reporting, and that's how like she's here.
So
So
let's talk about this phone. This is still a half-hour podcast. We're already 26 minutes in. So I wanted to talk about the phone. So that's the CC9, right? Not the
yes,
CC9E.
it's
Isn't
a
that
C.
the other one?
Yeah, so there are two phones. So basically, there were three types of phones announced. There was a CC9, CC9E, and the Meitu C. So it was CC9 Meitu.
Okay, that's not confusing.
Yeah.
Uh,
So so basically the CC9 and the CC9 Meitu are the same phones, except the CC9 Meitu has a different color.
okay.
It has the pink teal gradient, and it specifically has the Meitu software. So if you go on to I don't know how I'm gonna explain this, but if you go on to
Well, I'm hoping that we have B-roll right now to show
yeah,
off.
oh my god, thank you. I was gonna like show you which will not end up well, but basically it has the beautifying mode. It has I'm just gonna like read out loud like it has face, skin, slim, cheekbones, chin, highlight, shadows, hairline, eyes, lower lid, catch light, nose, rosy, silky hair settings. That's just for the face. And then you have full body editing, which involves changing your height, making yourself slender, your head, your arms, your waist. So you can edit those. And it doesn't, like, if you do it right, I can see this working. And then aside from that, there are makeup filters. And then the famed beauty mode that I was talking about, that you were talking about, even with like filters that move. Like, they're basically filters, but it's like Snapchat or Instagram filters. But it's not just your face. Like it gives you that light glow or the sparkles.
Oh, okay. Maybe there's like hearts floating and
And
stuff like that.
no, like just like it's very dreamy.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know how to explain it. We'll probably just have
hopefully there's some
B-roll.
sort of example I can show.
Yeah,
but,
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so basically the thing was we were excited for this phone because it's a Meitu phone. And if you know Meitu phones, this is not how it looked like. So actually, honestly, we were very curious as to how Xiaomi would come up with a phone that's branded Meitu. Initial reactions would be it's basically a Xiaomi phone with Meitu software.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I noticed that there are some people making comparisons like CC9 versus Mi 9. And I guess that makes sense because Xiaomi's actually sort of taking the reins a little bit. But you mentioned earlier that Meitu is supposed to be like a boutique slash upper, what's the term I'm looking for?
Upper, yeah.
Brand,
it's supposed to be a more expensive
looking at
brand.
it
this is the most
premium brand.
affordable Meitu phone that you can get, I think.
Exactly. That was what I was saying. That's what I was about to say. I'm looking at an article right now. Apparently, these phones are sub $300, which is that's unheard of.
So this is
all of these.
it is very funny you say that because I remember when the acquisition took place and one of the reactions would be like, we'll be able to give the Meitu phones to more people. That was the point. Like it's literally with Xiaomi's reach and distribution, we can share more of Meitu to the world. And I initially thought that just meant like bigger operations in terms of like where you sell it, right? But as it turned out, that's not all they meant when they said that they would bring it to a bigger market. Basically, they tweaked the brand a little bit because Meitu now, if this is your first brush with Meitu, this is not how Meitu was. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing necessarily, because at the end of the day, the best beauty mode is a beauty mode you can use, right? If it's an $800 phone, you're not gonna buy a phone. I mean, it depends on you probably, but there's a reason why it was always only the influencers who had these phones. They're the only ones who needed the selfies enough to pay $800 for a phone.
Yeah,
that
makes
does
sense.
that. I mean, but now I guess it's, what is the word? It's democratizing good selfies. It's democratizing the software they had. Unfortunately, and I think Ayano will agree with this, there were still better selfie cameras on the old Meitu phones. I mean, obviously, this has one selfie camera, and that the others had like, oh, what's happening? Sorry,
Is that Ayano?
something. No. It was a game I pressed on my phone. But yeah, for the Meitu CC9 and the CC9, they have the same front-facing camera. It's basically the same phone, except the Meitu version has the beauty modes.
Oh, okay, I see. But then wouldn't it be like, wouldn't you just get the Xiaomi CC9 and install the Meitu stuff anyway? Like that you feasibly could do that, right?
I mean, technically, you could just install it because, so this phone comes with pre-installed Meitu apps, but it also
Yeah.
has the beauty modes on the camera.
Oh, I see.
So there's a lot of things, and also look at this color, man.
Okay, fair. But like, so excuse me. So so you said that the front-facing camera is not, it's not incredible, but have you been getting really good selfies out of it? Because I don't think
mean-
you've really posted too many yet.
Hey, I did. I tweeted a whole series of different makeup looks from Meitu.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that was one post. I meant, more than
Yeah.
that.
I mean, as much as I love my selfies, I try not to post a lot of it. Because as much as I like my face, I would like photos of my face doing other stuff and not just being cute posted. But yes, they are good selfies. Yes, if you don't know or if you haven't tried the old Meitu phones, I don't think you'd have a problem. Yes, they are comparable to other phones right now that take good selfies. It's just that you cannot understand how unbelievable the original Meitu selfie cameras are.
Yeah, especially
Like-
for the time, they were
Yeah.
really up there.
Yeah, I mean, one test was it was so funny because Ayana was testing these cameras out, and she is like trying her old Meitu phone and the new one, and she was trying to focus on her eyelashes. And it was so funny because it was to you it would sound like such a weird thing, right? Why would you focus on your eyelashes? And the original Meitu phone could, and the new one couldn't, because of course it had like one camera, and I'm pretty sure there's a focal point or whatever, and the original one had like two, and it even had lights on it. Anyway, it's funny because I've actually tried to do that with my phones. I've actually gotten eyelash extensions and tried to take photos, selfies with my phones, and I remember trying out like 3-4 phones and none of them could take that, but the Meitu could. And to this day, that photo is posted up on my page or something because it was the only phone that could do that and with such detail. It was beautiful. But it's just like one example.
How about the rear cameras? Because I'm looking at the specs right now, and actually, you know what? The specs in general, I'm actually kind of
Pretty
impressed
good,
with.
huh?
Like,
Yeah.
Full HD
Internationally,
plus
they
display, a micro SD card slot, 8 gigabytes of RAM, depending on the one that you have. I think has the 8 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah.
The rear cameras, though, like there's the 48 megapixel sensor, which generally is a good thing. The ultra wide's only 8 megapixels, which is a little disappointing, I think.
Yeah.
And then that third camera, in case anyone's curious, is a depth
It's a depth
sensor. So
yeah.
it's just 2 megapixels. 4,000 milliamp hour battery. I mean, for $300, this is not a
Dude,
bad
it
phone.
has last so. You know how many photos I take and how quickly phones die on me? This legit lasted me a whole day. I am happy about that. But also the screen is nice, and you have face unlock, you have an under screen
Oh, nice.
what do you call it?
Fingerprint
Fingerprint
reader.
scanner. And it has an always on display. I like that.
That one looks cool.
Because you don't usually
So Xiaomi's clearly putting in some good work to make sure
Yes.
that some of the stuff that because Xiaomi is the king. I would say they're one of the kings of affordable flagships. So they're kind of instilling that in the Meitu
Definitely.
way. So I think that's great. But
Yes,
as far as the rear cameras are concerned, like how has your experience been with those?
they're actually pretty good. On the movie mode, I remember I was pretty impressed when using the rear cameras because you could switch the modes. Of course, when we say Meitu, we put it in a box and I think about like selfies. But to be perfectly honest, the use of the 3-cam setup on the rear with the Meitu functions are also pretty good. Like I was impressed. I sent you like photos of my dog.
Well,
Remember the other day?
You would do that regardless of what phone.
I mean, that's true. But the other day, I sent you photos of my dog, those close-ups.
Yes.
Those were done in low light. I mean, not the best lighting. And they were close-ups. And they look pretty good. So I was just like, that was actually very impressive.
Did Xiaomi put in a night mode on this one?
Yes. I haven't tried it out, though. I have to get out of my house. I have samples from yesterday of the rear cameras, which were actually pretty good, but the night mode not yet. I will have more stuff on this pretty soon. Actually, there are a lot of things that I like. This phone doesn't even lag too. I've been like trying out so many games. There's a booster mode, game booster mode.
Oh, good.
On this too. Also, it comes with Mi Home preset, and I have an air filter and the Robo Vacuum. So I have yet to set that up, but like that's very convenient. And honestly, I like the feel of this phone. No offense, but I've been on a bigger and heavier phone the last few weeks. And I think my arm has gotten like the brunt of it without me like acknowledging it. Like our arms are not designed to be holding 24/7 heavy things. If there was an article, when was it, the other day, about how this guy has what he called numb thumbs. Basically, there was something wrong with his thumb, and when he went to the doctor went like, because our thumbs are not designed to be like moving so much on a flat surface, and like our hands are designed so that we all use them, but because of smartphone use, everyone's just scrolling. And this is not like the first time this has happened. And he was like, you're lucky because there are some people who can't do anything with their thumbs now because of excruciating pain.
Yeah, there's that. There's carpal tunnel. I mean, I believe it. I believe it because if I remember correctly, Peter McKinnon, one of the top vloggers on YouTube, he has like the Canon 1DX Mark II, I think, and it's a humongous full frame camera, and he has it on the biggest GorillaPod most of the time. So he's always holding it out like that. His arm, he literally has arm problems now because that huge thing he's carrying.
I was saying, how do these vloggers actually carry their cameras with the GorillaPod? That's just too much.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I work out, but
yeah, you don't work out specifically for that purpose. Like,
hey, I do pull-ups now.
Okay, fair.
My new gym has like the pull-up bar.
Fair.
So that I can carry around heavy.
A back exercise doesn't translate to this though.
Yeah, fine. But I mean, remember, Chai used to work out so she could finally put her bags up on the overhead.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, no, that's functional training for sure. But an exercise for specifically holding a phone, I think that the only thing you can really do is what's that grippy one? The one that trains your grip. I feel like that would be.
The thingy.
You just squeeze it. Yeah, I think that's. Yeah. I think that's one you could use.
But yeah, this phone also for being a sub $300 phone, which is supposed to be the Mi A2 internationally, something like that. Unconfirmed, but that's what they're saying it would be. It feels pretty good.
So, final question, since I only have a couple of minutes left on this thing. So you're kind of in a nice position being in Asia, being able to pop over, grab the phone. This is a phone that is not meant to be in too many markets. It hasn't even hit Hong Kong yet officially because you have a version
I feel they're gonna I feel they would.
It will, yeah. I think it will too.
Yeah.
It's just that version, that quote unquote global version, which is not even global, it's just going to show up in Taiwan and Hong Kong mostly. That's the one that's going to have Google Play services on it. My question is it a shame that this phone's not making it to more places? Do you think?
Yes, definitely. Um, you know why I think that is?
Hmm.
So many people in the US went gaga over the Pixel 3a.
Yeah. Oh yeah, $400.
It's if it's any indication of what hole there is in your market specifically, because in the Philippines, where is that phone? Oh my gosh, where did they put it? In the Philippines, you have phones like this, which is $100. Look at that. I think it's like $120. But that's even on the cheap end. You have even more mid-range phones that can rival the Pixel 3a.
I think the reason why is because the sub $200 phones are usually on like the prepaid services that you only really associate, with certain types of people. It's not like in Asia or in Europe where those phones are considered sort of in the same breath. Like you have to actually seek out the cheap phones. In Asia and in Europe, they're all over. They're a part of the conversation regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
I think.
that's
Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, but that still shows that there is sort of a market for it, or if there isn't, there's a growing want for it.
Let everyone know where to find you.
Oh, you can find me on youtube.com/Isa Does Tech. I finally got the vanity URL. And it's at Cisa Said on Instagram and Twitter. And if you're on Facebook, there's Isa Does, but that's more of a mishmash of things. So yeah, and check out my Meitu video because I have an unboxing and it sort of explains what Meitu is and what the initial differences are between the new Meitu phone and the old Meitu phones.
And on that note, thank you so much for listening to Tech and Tea with Joshua Vergara. You already heard where you can find Isa across YouTube and social media. I am, of course, right here on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Joshua Vergara. And you can find me on social media at JV Tech Tea. I am JV. I love tech and I love to drink me some tea. Don't forget to subscribe to not only my channel, but also follow this podcast using whatever app you might be choosing to use in order to listen to our sultry voices every single week. I don't really know why I said that, but you know what? Before I get a little bit too loopy on this outro, I'm going to just say thank you once again for listening or watching, and remember to enjoy your tea, everybody.